go ahead and show 10 things that sold in the month of October. It's been rather slow over the last month and September as well. But we'll just dive in. First is a vintage Maria Dionysu. I don't know if I pronounced that right or not. Snow leopard vegan rockabilly swing coat that I picked up at the bins. It was rather heavy, but it sold for, and I had it on sale for $41.99. I probably paid $5 for it, but it was really beautiful. It had there were no flaws, and it was clearly something out of I'm going to guess it was the 90s. Nicely lined, no rips, no tears. And that was the first one. Second one is a North Face Placido fleece. I found this at an estate sale and paid $2 for it. It sold for $34.99 with free shipping. Next was a lot of 35 skeins of cotton embroidery floss or thread, whatever you want to call it. That had been my stepmom's when my dad passed away last year. I had a whole bunch of. She was very crafty, and I'm slowly going through that stuff and listing it. And this sold on sale for $20.99 with free shipping. Next up was a pair of Ann Taylor black faux snakeskin career heels. They had little bows on the back. They were actually really, really pretty, but man, they stuck around for a long time. Maybe it's because they were a smaller size, 5.5, which is, it had really nice accents to it. But they finally sold for $18.99, and I did charge shipping on those because they were heavy and I couldn't fit them into the flat rate padded envelope. Next was an Adidas retro style tracksuit. It wasn't actually vintage, but it was from like the year 2000. It was in really good shape. I found it at the bins. And I had it up for $29.99 originally, and it sold for $20.99 with free shipping. I did have some problems with the shipping because I live in Oregon, and the gal who bought it was in Las Vegas, I think. She was in the next state over, basically, and it had been several days past after I posted it, and she sent me a rather insistent. She was rather angry that it hadn't reached her yet. I don't know if she had needed it for an event or whatever, but it wound up. I looked at the tracking. It just showed it was in transit, which is really weird. And I just sent her a really nice note saying I would be upset too if it were taking. I think it took an entire week, which made no sense to me because literally you can get on an airplane and be in Las Vegas in an hour and a half from where I live. So anyway, she didn't leave any bad feedback, which I'm really grateful for. And it was kind of, it's that color block, bright, striped kind of thing. And it was that, I forget what the name of the material is. If it had been larger, I might have kept it for myself. But anyway, next up was, and they tell me that Fugly sells. I found this at the bins. This is a British-made Oppo suits. They come in all different designs. My husband had put it on. It fit him perfectly. Oh, I want to keep it. It's totally polyester. You could wad that thing up into a ball and stuff it in an envelope, and it would pop out completely like it had just been to the cleaners. You could not wrinkle this thing. I put it up. for $49.99, and that is what it sold for. Surprisingly, it didn't take long to sell either. It was before Halloween, of course, and I don't know if somebody wanted it for Halloween or whatever, but it was it was ugly. That's an ugly suit. Anyway, next up is this was oddly enough in the same trip to the bins that where I picked up the ugly Christmas suit was this quilt, this mid-century. I could tell by the stitching on it. It looks like ones that my grandmother made. Although it was pieced together with a machine, all of the stitching on it was by hand, and you can see that when you get up close. But it had some flaws, and I disclosed those. It had a little tiny bit of fraying. Oh, there you can see the stitching on it, and I can remember my grandmother spending hours doing. I don't know how she did that with arthritis in her hands, but she did. And I originally had it up for $69, and this lady texted me and said she really loved this and wanted it for her collection, and would I take offer her something less. And I said, well, $50. The funny thing is that this was not something that I went, ooh, I have something when I pulled it out of the bins. What happened was I had my cart completely full, like you see in a lot of the photographs of people who go to the bins. And I needed something to throw over the pile that was in my cart and, tuck around it so they wouldn't fall over as I was trying to wheel it out to my car. And I just threw it up there. This sold within days too, which actually just shocked me. It, now that I look at it, it really was a pretty quilt, and it has to have been. It might even have been from the 30s or 40s. I'm thinking as old, just when I did a little more research on it, it might have been. But anyway, that was a surprise. That was a surprise sale because I certainly didn't pick it up in order to sell it. I picked it up in order to save what I had purchased from falling all over the rainy Portland street that I was crossing to get it into my car. So next up is another mid-century item. I've had these forever. I don't know. I don't remember where I got them. I think they may have been my dad's. I just don't remember. And they are the Chalkware, and there's actually a set of 4 that I've seen somebody else sell for exactly what I sold these for at $49.99. But I only had the 3, and they were in fairly good condition. They have some wearing on the back where they've hung on walls, but it didn't look like they came from a smoker's house or anything like that. They were clean. Anyway, these were a challenge to package and wrap. I did the FOMO thing where you wrap them up in big bubble wrap and then wrap cardboard around them and then really securely put them into a box. And I haven't heard anything bad, so hopefully this got to them safe. And I used the FedEx Ship Saver option for these, and it was a lot cheaper to ship them. I think it cost me $7 something. It was a lot less than it was going to cost me UPS or USPS, I mean. After that is another vintage item from, I'm going to say, the 80s, 90s, very early 90s. Desert Diva by Sherry Holt. She did a lot of things with the cowboy, the western wear. This was a denim jacket. It had cowboys and horses, and it was size medium. It was actually very cute. But I had it for a long time. It took a long time to sell. I had it originally up at $39.99 and had a sale, and it went for $27.99 with free shipping. And last but not least, never go past the cassette recordings because they tend to sell for me, especially things out of the 80s and the early 90s. This was a soundtrack from Pretty in Pink, which had music by the Psychedelic Furs, which is a British band, and oh gosh, I can't remember all of them, but it had Molly Ringwald and John Cryer, and John Cryer played Ducky. I don't know if any, and there were a couple other people in it, but again, this was something I almost kept for myself, but I don't really, all I have is a little portable cassette player, and you can't really hear very well with that. So, but it went for $8.99, which is probably more than it cost new. But it played fine. I tested it all out. And that's it for my top 10 sales out of, well, there were other things, but primarily clothes. For the month of October, and thank you for watching, and see you next time.